Hi everybody, this is Big Mama. I just finished my design team project for Dear Julie, and this is her November project. And the digital that I used was her Blue Winter. And so the journal I used is a altered book. And I want to show you a little bit of the digitals before I get started. Here is, hope I have all the pictures right side up. This is a page, you can tell I already cut some off of it. Here are a variety of sizes that you can use, and I love these type of pages because I do use the variety of sizes in my projects. She also had on the digital some miniature, and to make miniature journals, and some small ones. These are great for filling the pockets for your ephemera. These 4x4 was great for me to use postcard items here. She also included on there's some items that I'll be using for Easter project, like this lace here and the cross here will be great to use for the Easter projects. And so the kit isn't just winter thinking Christmas. It's winter thinking the beautiful, cool weather we have. I don't know if you can see here, this is a bird on the tree song. Some more pages. Then the side-by-sides, I found, I really wanted to get creative with these. And so what I did, cutting around these areas and gluing down this part so that this opens, making my pockets and flips was wonderful. I really liked using these pages. Then the white pages here, this is like a piece of lace. And so I just cut out around that and did some stitching on it, hand stitching, to make it look like it was not paper, but actual material. Of course, that's the thought behind it. And I think you guys are smarter, you know. And so there's this one, this one. This is a great side-by-side for journaling. Also, it creates your interest on the page. Bigger side-by-side here with this bird. I picked up a couple, sorry about that. On this image here, what I did was I gessoed over this because it wasn't quite the right flower for my picture. Let me get that right. The flower for the journal. And so when I gessoed over it, then I took a napkin that had holly and berries on it and put over it. So you'll see that in the journal. So when you have a digital and you're like, oh, that's just not going to work, you might think about being able to alter it so that it does work for you. There's this one. And this full page one, you'll see that I used it. And again, I'll be using this for Easter. And then I ran out of ink. I wanted you to see what it looks like, because we all like to joke a little bit about our purple papers. And so I have the purple paper in here too. Can't throw it away because I know we'll be able to use it. So the journal I made is an altered book, and I named her, well, actually the dear friend of mine who asked me to make it for her, she named it Snowy White. And so I have this called Snowy White Winter. And so there she is. She is an altered book. And so I did a video showing how I take the pages out and then glue them together, ink them, and then I left the edges of the page. When I glued them, I left some of the edge of the page so that I could go back, and in between the two pages that I glued together, I was going to be able to put some lace in there. Made a tassel for it, and with the tassel, pull that up. I used a pierced earring. I don't have pierced ears, but people give me jewelry and they just don't realize that it's crafting supplies. So that is my little sparkle for my tassel that I have hanging down. Some old lace here. And so the front of it is a greeting card. And I bought a package from Hobby Lobby for Paper Studio. And I had the big one and this one. I went over it with some white gesso to bring in more of the theme, because this was just a little bit too sparkly and clean for my work. And so I took gesso over it, and then I glued it down to a piece of corrugated cardboard, and you can see I roughed up the edges of that. I put that on a piece of lace, took some texture paste and rent around the edge using a stencil with the texture paste, went over everything with gesso so that it created that snow look. And then I don't know that the camera is really picking up the sparkle, but I also added some sparkle into it to make the snow look like the sun is hitting it, and it makes it look real pretty. Then I closed it with a ribbon here, and now we will help her to expand and breathe. And so here she is. If you want to sit around that table like that, she is wide open and ready to receive. And so I have filled all the pockets in here, and so that this is what she's going to look like, filled to the gill. And so here I'm going to go ahead and start letting you see what I've done, and hopefully if you've got questions, put it in the comments and I'll try and get to you, because I'm not the best tutorial type of person, and this is a flip through. So I had a piece of linen that I used here, and what I did when I cut out this size to go on here, this was on the corner, and it was a linen napkin. And so what I did when I cut, I'm sorry about that sun, I hope that that isn't annoying you, but I went ahead and cut all the way up the edge, and that get to the next corner, and then I flipped that piece and glued it on top. So that's what gave me the edging as the perfect square, was this is glued onto it. And then on my tissue paper I added the nail polish, and this is pure ice, and got that from Walmart. And so I went around the edge of the tissue paper for that sparkle. Then here on the edge, I wanted to make sure that the signatures don't pull away from the cover, and so I did this to give it a little bit more strength. This is Julie's Digital, and I went around it with the texture paste, and then I used the, just a moment, got it down here. I tried to have everything out. I used this and went and just painted them to add that, and then I went back over it with some of this. And so the bottle here is the one that I used, and that, as you can tell, I used this as my palette. And so then here, like I said, I take the 2 pages, and they were not glued completely together, so that I had little snippets of lace in there. And creating that, I wanted it to look like snow was falling over the edge, and so that's what the lace represents, is the snow. Here I used a tissue napkin, and I added some glue, and then added this warm diamond is on there, and then rub that down really good so that when you use it you can see it's not coming off. And then put also some of the napkin over here on this edge, and this was a page in the book that I was using. This is a rub-on that says the greatest treasures, and here this page just had some writing on it, and so I took the masking tape here and just went over the words, rubbed it down real good with my little I'd like to call it a bone folder, but it just, there's no bone to this piece of plastic, but it is a good tool for rubbing things down. So anyway, those are the things I used there. And then over here, I have a pocket that's here, and piece of lace, and these are Julie's digitals. I made it to where it would flip here, and I glued that under here to create that hinge, and I glued these under on the other side to create that hinge, and added the lace here to balance the lace up there, so you have these writing spaces and a pocket. And that just kind of lays down really nice, so I didn't need to use anything to hold it. And then on this side, this is where I did the digital and just cut it along here. And on this one, I used the German you like that crinkly noise, girls and guys? I forget you guys jump in here too. I use this. It's called German glass, and so use that and glued that down real good, and so you can rub, and you see nothing is on there. So I really worked hard to get that all glued in with the art glitter glue. And then this was the smaller version of that picture, and so I put it on some cardstock and just turned it into a little folio that you can write in the inside. And Julie does a fancy ribbon, and so you'll be able to find that in her videos where she has different fancy ribbon techniques. And so this was one of them that I did on the side here to give it some pretty. Have a idea magazine. I had used a couple of them, and the sun is now definitely up in Kansas, and that's the south window. And if you want me to not ever do it again, you just holler and say, look, the sun really bothered me, be sure you do this at midnight. And then I'll have to apologize to you about the lighting being really bad with my lights. So, but can you see the sparkle on the Christmas tree? Yeah. I added that using the, I had everything right here. There you go, Ranger stickles. And this became probably my go-to for just about everything, was right there with that Ranger stickles. It was just really easy to use. Again, the lace. And then here, I want to show you how I folded over the edge, because these two pages, this one here and this one, are glued together. And then I took and added a trim off of a napkin, just glued that onto the edge here. And then this was a little decal that applique, there you go, that I had, and trimmed her out and put her on there so that you can write stenciled on here. And then just put a light coat of gesso and folded up this corner too, so that these two corners balance. And then did another journaling spot, and this was the one that I told you where I did the stitching around the edge and just went then with the glitter around the edge too. And I have some antique Christmas cards that were in a box that they really were aged. And so you can see where they were in with the envelopes and the foxing and everything that happened to them. So I just went ahead and used that as a floating pocket Christmas card. So the card does come out, and I'm going to do it with this one, but I pulled the card out. But on the other ones, it's the same effect, that I made it to where it is a floating pocket. But also, I like these old cards because you've got a journaling spot here. You've got a journaling spot on the back. But you can open this up and also do a whole lot of journaling on the inside of it. So when I look at these things, I see them as journaling supplies, not as a old piece that needs to be tossed. And then when I gessoed the edge, I went over it then with the nail polish to give it that shiny glitter. And then here, I made sure that the gesso was really, really thick. I don't know if you can see the texture on that at all, but I wanted to make sure that the little berries really stood out. And then back behind here, I have a piece of linen. And the reason why I want to put that is so that this paper linen would look a little bit real. So I put that linen in there too. And I knew that when I did this, that I'd have some pushing and shoving to do. So hold on and let me get that pushed in there, because I don't want it to be up in the seam. All right. So now let's move over to this page. Son, you're doing your job, but keep on going. You're almost over. And fighting with the sun, that's a bad battle right there. I am not going to win. I'm just going to give in. Because after all, it is a sunshiny day, and I don't want to complain. So there you go. And then this was out of the Ideas magazine again, and you can see where I added the glitter and took the stickles and just dot, dot, dot for the snow coming down, and another one of those antique cards. And some more of the napkin. And then this is the page I told you. I went ahead and put it on there, and I put it through, covering the seam. This was one of the pages where I had taken out. I go to the center of the signature, and I gently start pulling it out so that the thread stays intact. And then those two pieces are going to be glued together. So what I do is when I pull them out, I pull out 3, and then I glue it together, and then I start to tear on the edge and pull them out. This was one of the, where it looked a little bit compromised, and so I just don't want anything to fall out of here. And so I thought, well, this would be a good place to put a full page and glue it down in there. So I start in the center and glue that down really good, and then glued it out. And that way, that seam is not compromised. And this was an antique card that the rest of the card was really destroyed. But here is the card front, so I used it as a pocket. And then this is Julie's digital that I used for the stamp. And I had an antique card that had, this is a postcard that I had the date 1915 on. And I thought, you know, I love my friends, but I don't love them that much. Sorry. So I photocopied it. And then I took and put the photocopies on some of the book page, 2 pieces of the book page to give it that cardstock feel to it. And then went and grunged up the edge and here just poke 2 holes. And Julie likes to do a project that she calls her, oh, now I don't even know what she calls it, messy thread. And so you wrap around 3 fingers, you go back around 2, then you go back around 3, and you cut it, and then you got this wad. And so what I did is I did the holes, I used the crochet hook, went in, grabbed it for this side, and grabbed it for that side, and then for about a half hour, I tried to figure out how to get it through and tie that knot. And so, yeah, I spent a lot of time on that messy bow right there, but I wasn't going to give up and let that little piece of thread. Smart people would have thrown it in the trash and gone with the ribbon, but I was not going to be beat. And who's to say that might have been smart. So anyway, there you go. Moving on. So here is... I'm not going to win, so you guys... sorry, the sun is shining today. Yay. I took gesso over the page, and then just on the corner, rolled up a little bit here. One of the ladies in our design team and has a fabulous growing channel, her name is Kathleen Maurer. And Kathleen is the queen of the folded page. She has fancy folds that just, I'm like, oh, I can hear the heavenly choir sing every time I see them. And so she's got me just doing all kinds of folds now. And I think it's great because years ago, I still do, I go and do a special feature for a group and show how to do fancy folds for wrapping paper. And so I was able to take those skills and translate it into this because she said, you know, why not? Why not do some unusual folds? And so it was great to tap into that. Now, moving right along. Here is one of Julie's digitals, again with ribbon. And this time I did some holes on the side too and brought the edge of the ribbon down and then just flipped it through and knotted it into itself to hold that down on there so that it's not just flapping in the wind. And this is the one I told you about that I took the gesso and covered up that one picture, and then this is a piece of napkin. And what I like about it is when I did the gesso, it's got that texture underneath, and so these leaves actually feel textured because of the gesso that's underneath. So that, and then on the other side is one of her envelopes, and I had showed you on this page where this is one of those envelopes. This one has, I took one of my scraps of paper, my offcuts, well actually 2 of them. I did a bigger one and then a little one, and I like that because the bulk is small, and but of course that leaves room for me to put something that adds bulk, like the little rhinestone there. And this was a scrap of lace that I had, and I put that on there so that I can just tuck this in behind it. And then I have a piece of paper that I did just the trim cut, die cut. I don't know what those things are called. I can't find my word. Anyway, it's got the lace on the other side, and it goes on a page here where I took and went around the page, and then I put on the edge of the page glue stick. And then with the glue stick, I put the embossing powder. This is the bridal tinsel. When I hit it with the heat gun, the to get the embossing powder to melt down completely, I started cooking my glue, causing it to get a little bit brown. Just thought I'd warn you on that one. I think it looks good with the bird, but boy, if I wanted it to stay bridal tinsel white, ain't happening. So, but it did add the sparkle that I wanted, and so I'm not going to throw it in the trash because I don't. This is a part of a card, and I want to show you that, where you take a greeting card and you can take at the corner and see all these pictures on this greeting card here, 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 and you've got a saying there. And you, instead of having to decide which one you're going to use, you can take and pull it apart, okay? So then you have like this picture that you can use, and it's thin then. Don't see how that is real thin. And you have all of those pieces then that are left over, that you have this one and this one, and this was on the inside of that card, and this is the saying that was inside of it that I can use. So you've got quite a lot that you can use out of greeting cards. And so that's what this is right here, that very thin piece, and you got a journaling spot. This, I just tore the paper here and did fold here and added my lace, and then glued down those edges really good. And a little journaling spot. Here is the back of one of those cards, and on the card there was the word joy to the world, and I put it on a piece of the book page that I took out, and then on here in the book page it said Christmas 1949 was not marred in any way, and then here it has chorus, and I have the card. This was in the Ideas magazine, and just went around the edge to make the journaling card. And then it has a journaling spot here too, and you can also use it as a tuck if you want. And it is a peekaboo pocket. And I put glitter along the edge and tore that and put the glitter on the edge. And some more journaling spot with glitter on the edge. This is a napkin. Trying to beat that sun. It's doing good. It's gonna be gone. Not before I'm done, probably. This is a flip waterfall. Got to put some of Julie's techniques in here after all, and her design team. This is a greeting card turned into a pocket, and this I printed. I actually took the piece of paper, got the right size that I wanted for the music paper, and then glued it down onto a piece of paper with a repositional glue, ran it through the printer so that I knew exactly where the bird was going to show up, and then put some rub-ons on here and just have a piece of paper on the inside so that you can journal on it. Then I folded up the edge of the paper where the two pages are glued together and put down the applique here, went around the edge here with this blingy sequin trim, and but this folds down to where you can write something special on here, and it's hidden behind the fold on that journaling page. And then here, I made a belly band using the Ideas Magazine page, and went and glitzed that up with some glitter, put some trim on it. And then here are the cardigan. Here is the envelope that I added some stenciling to, and then the card. Over here I had some of this lace, and so I took Julie's digital and just turned it into a journaling card. I wonder if anybody's still watching. It's going pretty long. Okay, I love this ad because it says men love their raisin bread every Wednesday. So in case you women, the marriages are falling apart, this could be the reason. You haven't been giving them the raisin bread on Wednesday. Had to put that in there because I thought that was just adorable. And I took out of the magazine, the Ideas magazine, I cut around these guys singing, had this in a old hymnal piece, and then this was in the Ideas magazine on another page. And so I put it on a piece of music, it folded a card. I'm not going to undo that, but then I took napkin on the trim here, a ribbon, and made that a little journaling card. And I'm trying to get the bow behind her head because he was complaining that he didn't like being bopped in the head. You know, when your journalist talking to you, you got to listen. I used this song page, This Is My Father's World, because I thought about the winter and when you're out walking and there's snow and you're all bundled up and the air is crisp and you just got a song in your soul. This song is what just burst out. I love this. And so I thought, what a perfect page to have this with. What I did here is I cut around this part. I took another image of it and cut out this tree, fussy cut it around, and glued it onto the top so that when you drop this down, I didn't want to cut through the branches and not have it. So I would have lost these branches here. And so you've got a journaling spot here. I took poinsettia, colored the petals with silver, and put a little itty bitty piece of lace in the middle of it. Keep with the colors. Then this is a piece of a Bible that was an old German Bible that was falling apart, and so I put it here and folded down the edges of the paper. These pieces here are from the, now it's really getting bad, isn't it? I'm so sorry. I went around the edges using the paint that I showed you, that is this aluminum here. And so I went around the edges with it, but I also dry brushed in on the page itself so that it highlights that snow and ice. And then went around the edge, and this is a time card that I used. And on the back of the page here, I have lace. And of course, hit it really good with glitter to give it sparkle. And then on this side here is a poem that is our country town. And then went around the edge again with that. And it's a time card. And used this piece because I actually picked it because I like this up here at the top for the top of the page. And another one of those folds to where you can lift that up and write in here. And here, if you can see from the side, it's just where I put the gesso on it for writing. Julie's digital, and then I have some music paper, and so I just folded it over and made a pad here, and this was out of the magazine. all the magazine pictures are from the Idea magazine that was in 1952. And so here is another one of the folds. It's stenciled here, and then lift it and fold. And I love how the gesso makes that feel like cloth. And then here I use the stencil and the gesso to create the texture, and then the flowers. This is just a napkin on the page. Nope, it's gonna win now. Napkin on the page, and I put some bling around it so that you can have a journaling spot. And then this is one of her digitals, and I turned it into a pocket, and it has one of those cards in it. This is part of the Ideas magazine, and you can see that I added some glitz to it. Here on this digital page, I simply made it where it is tucked down behind one of the miniatures I made as a tab to hold it so that it opens up and you can write in here. And then this was a scrap off of one of the pages. And so I put the German, this is the German glitter. And you can see how textured that German glitter is. And then made a card here that is snowflakes, since it is a winter journal. And so it's a card you can write on. And now we are to the little treasure box that's in the back. This journal is going to someone specific. They commissioned this. And so she had sent me some Happy Mail that had a remnant of a wedding dress. And so she did not know that it was going to come back to her. And so I had this piece of lace that I put on here to hang down. And then along the outside edge, I had left places that weren't glued so that I could tuck in some lace so that it all flows together with the lace. And did that also in the front and top. So then I put a button and a ribbon. You know, when you're on film, in case you didn't know, that nothing ever goes really easy and fast. Okay, so I sewed a button in here, and then this box lid opens up, and this is a poem that is out of the magazine again, and I glitzed up with the glitter, you can see. And then the box that I made here, I used texture paste to go around it and painted it. And then I have some vintage, and these are, I'm actually sending her the actual pieces. So I put 3 pieces in here in a bundle for her that are actual postcards. I wrapped a ribbon around it so that it'd go in the box. And this is Julie's digital. And then what I did around the edge and the inside here is texture paste to make sure that it was glued down really, really good, and did that texture paste all the way around to make that inside of the box very firm. Since I had left gaps on the outside, I wanted to make sure that it doesn't fall apart. And then when I put in the pieces of lace, then I glued it really, really tight so that it would lay down really nice. But when I went and put my button on, I sewed it in through the pages deep. Well, why do anything easy, right? So that's what I did there. And then had that button and the lace hanging down. And then on the back, I have, this was in a wallpaper book. And so I went through and took all the light grays and added the art glitter glue to it, and some of the, let me see which one I added to it. the German. Yep, that's the one. I put the German glue on there so that you see how nice and pretty that is. And then again, I had 2 of those linen napkins, and then I have snow falling on the back. Whew, I bet you are worn out. Thank you for hanging in there all the way to the end. And this is Dear Julie, Julie's design team. And if she kicks me off because this is too long, I'm so sorry. I did not intend for it to be, but I hope I explained this beautiful one so that there are some techniques in here that you'll be able to use for you. Have a wonderful day. And look, I gotta say it. I have matchy. Got my blue, got my blue, got my blue. Have a good day. Bye-bye.